The time being 7 p.m, we'll call the 19 January 2026 Council meeting open. And in doing so, the town of Walkerville would like to acknowledge the Kaurna people as the traditional custodians of the land we're meeting on today and respect their spiritual relationships with their country. We recognise the many generations of stewardship that the Kaurna people have provided to this land and respect that their cultural heritage and beliefs are as important today as were for their ancestors. We noted who is here present. Yep. If there are any no apologies, we've got the leave of absence from Mayor Jones. Staff and attendance, we've got the CEO, Dr. Andrew Thompson, Acting Group Manager, Assets and Infrastructure, Lisa Todd, replacing James, Group Manager, Corporate Services, Mohammed, Group Manager, Public Relations, Sarah, Ross, Strategic Projects Coordinator, and Yasmin as Governance Officer, so thank you. We do have in item 2.3 the leave of absence for Mayor Jones today. And just ask if there are any upcoming leave of absences for members. Are there any additional ones to note? No? We'll move on then. Confirmation of minutes at Ordinary Council meeting held on 15 December. I can have a mover that those minutes be received and noted. Thank you, Councillor Alderson. Seconded, Councillor Trotter. All those in favour? So that carried. Thank you. Special Council meeting held on the 22nd of December 2025. Move Councillor Core, seconded Councillor Zeppel. Thank you. All those in favour? Declare that carried. Thank you. Special Council meeting held on 5 January 2026. Move that those minutes be received as a full accurate record. Move Councillor Zeppel, seconded Councillor Core. All those in favour? Declare that carried. Thank you. Any declarations of interest, and I'll kick off, and that was item 15.4. I'll declare a material conflict of interest when it comes to that item, because I'll be attending to represent the council and there is a payment for that conference. We'll just have to move that someone chairs that part of the meeting, so I'd like to declare material conflict in item 15.4. Are there any other declarations of interest by members? Councillor Williams?
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. I have a few. So motions with notice, so it's 14.1, 14.2, actually not 14.3, so 14.1, 14.2 and also 17.3, general interest as property bounds the site, the W site. I'll remain in the room and vote on that.
No problem at all. Thank you. Any others? Declarations? No? Okay, business adjourned, there's nil. Deputations, there's nil. Petitions, nil. Move the Mayor's, for item 8.1, the Mayor's diary. Just move it that they proceed and note that. Move Councillor Trotter, seconded Councillor Allison. Thank you. All those in favour? Declare that carried. Thank you. So council member updates. If there are any council member updates, open that floor.
Yes.
Thank you, Councillor Trotter.
Thank you. I just wanted, it will be in the report coming up, but the Walkerville Community Committee had a meeting last week, and we have determined that we would run a movie night on the school board in on the Oval on 13th of February. So so that's all starting to be promoted now. It will be, we're trialling it as our first event, so it will be probably more simple than usual. We're keeping it quite simple to start with, to see whether the communities will engage with it. And it's a free event, so we're looking forward to taking that to our number one goal from the beginning. So yeah, that's really good. And our chatty cafes will extend to walking distance, so we will be in Cuba trialling some parks in Medindi, in Vale Park and in Walkerville. We'll be taking our chatty cafe to the W as well as the bowling club. So you'll see a lot more activity up until June with our calendar, which was also endorsed by the Walkerville Community Committee.
Well done. Any other council member updates? No? I'll just add that on the 28th of December, represented the Mayor at the Proclamation Day event down at Glenelg. Also for January 12, we had the Walkerville Netball Club first night of the training at the W, and they again want to just reiterate their thanks to the council and the administration for being able to get there and start on the opening night, so they were really grateful for that. And just, obviously this is a present one, but just a reminder that for 21 January, Walkerville Rotary Club Community Barbecue, so if you are available to come, let me know tonight. I'll get the numbers to them for that. Okay. Questions in the gallery? Obviously no gallery, so that's nil. Any questions without notice for members of Councillor Williams?
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. I have a question without notice that I have already forwarded to the CEO, but I wanted to bring it up formally here. I had a resident contact me about a trip point near the corner of Burlington Street and Church Terrace. There's one of the blue seats the council put in that vicinity, and they fell and broke one of the bones in their leg. Whether it was a tibia fibula, I'm not certain. But obviously they've had some costs relating to that. They also smashed some glasses and said that another resident had tripped in the same place and hadn't hurt himself, fortunately. But essentially my question is that once, and I'm not sure whether that's up there or not, but the question was, once tree roots are identified as being trip hazards and marked with yellow paint to warn pedestrians, how long is it before the problem pavers or footpath is rectified? And I ask that because in the situation there's yellow paint there that's very faded, and I was wondering if there was a standard time or procedure, or whether it can remain like that for years until it's brought back to council's notice. So I'm not sure we've had a chance to see it.
I could answer that in a couple of ways. In relation to that particular instance, we don't think the yellow marking was put there by us as a result of an incident. So we've got no records of us putting that yellow mark on those pavers. It's almost as if that's where they marked it, where they were going to cut the tree out. So we've actually gone through our records very quickly. We need to do a bit more detailed search, but we can't actually find any record of any complaint up until last Friday relating to that particular location. There's been a couple of other locations in the vicinity, but none in that actual location. So we're not sure what that yellow paint that was on that is for, because normally we would mark out exactly what needed to be replaced, rather than that look like it just had a yellow line along the outskirts where the tree guard or tree cutout was. So we're not sure how that got there. But in relation more generally to your question, our normal procedure is if we get a customer request or hear about an issue, normally we will respond back to that person within 48 hours of being notified of it to provide them an update on what we intend doing or what we've found, or at least acknowledging their complaint coming in. We're normally in that 48 hours trying to actually assess the damage, to work out what needs to be done, potentially mark it up if it's in danger, which is the other reason we mark up, to not only identify an area that needs to be fixed, but also to highlight that there might be some potential risk or potential uneven footpaths, as it is in this case. And then depending on the severity or and the risk associated with that particular footpath will depend whether it got replaced straight away or as soon as the contractor can be on site, whether it gets incorporated as part of our asset management plan or part of our capital works plan. So it does depend on the severity of the issue as to when we will formally address it.
Well, thanks for that answer. I can forward that back to the resident, but as you said, you'll be replying to them anyway. The resident did also mention that it was weird that the yellow paint ran along the edge. I've actually seen it as well, ran along the edge of the pavers, where generally the yellow paint is used to identify a change in height, so they didn't find that unusual. However, I guess in amongst all of this, with the question as well, is there a procedure that council follows, the ones that marks, not necessarily about this specific location, is there a procedure within council whereby the outdoor staff marks an area as with yellow paint as being dangerous, is there a standard practice or procedure for how long it is before that's addressed, or does it more or less remain until someone has an accident?
No, it depends on the severity of the issue and what's required to rectify it. So if it can be rectified quickly, it is. If it involves us getting the contractor in to fix it, depend on their availability. If it's part of a program we're going to do anyway, we'd probably hold off until that program starts. So it does depend on the actual issue and the severity of the issue.
So there's no real standard?
Yeah.
Okay, thanks for that.
Councillor Williams, you have the option as well, if you'd like the question or an answer to be written up for the minutes. I'll ask just generally just to remind if you would, you don't have to, but
well, I mean, that would be good, but I'm guessing, given that it's without notice, that there's not a written one prepared, it probably would be, well, actually, no, it doesn't have one just yet. I can speak to the resident, and the fact that I'll like the question to be recorded, right?
yes, the question, so just without an answer in the minutes.
Ask, and then I can give them a verbal response, but you'll be replying to them anyway.
Yes, I have acknowledged their email already and have advised them of our insurance company of where we'll be sending the claim.
Yeah, okay, fine, yeah, that's fine. So just a
We
question.
might need to move that the question be noted.
Yeah.
Move the question be noted.
Recording, thanks.
Yeah, and seconded for that. Seconded Councillor Trotter. All those in favour? Yeah, it's carried. Any other questions to that notice?
Could I just contribute to that as well?
Certainly.
A good point. Look, some time ago I have actually raised, for a couple of meetings in a row, sort of querying the way we're reporting customer requests. And I did ask at that time whether we had service standards around, like, once a request has been received, how long does it take for us to act on them? And that has sort of lapsed. I'm not sure where that got to, those discussions. That's maybe my fault, so I can continue to ask those questions. But just on that, I mean, you said a couple of things there that should, like you've marked it up and you may let it go to the asset management plan. But I'm thinking if you've marked it up, it must be of a nature that would need to be rectified, treated earlier than leaving it for 4 years or whatever until your next, asset renewal program goes through. So I would like administration, I suppose it's not really a question.
Well, can I ask about where things are up to?
Yeah, no, I'd like, I'll probably bring this up at a later time again, but I think it would be interesting to see if administration are considering actually preparing service standards for various customer request types. Would that be happening?
Yes, I think it might have been a way when we gave a presentation to council members on some changes we made to our customer service process that we have given over from the field staff back to customer service to follow up on requests to make sure that the customers actually get responded to in some way in 48 hours, whether that's we're still looking into the issue, thanks for your request, or wherever it is, we have made a determination at that stage, and if we haven't, to tell them when we will make a determination on it to keep that going. We've been trialling that to see how we go on against those standards, because there's no use setting standards as you'd appreciate that we can't meet. The view then is to, and you probably also understand given your background, the challenges of having one standard to fit everything, given the risk and that might be involved, the traffic, the area involved, and the extent of work that some might take longer than others to get to. So the view is yes, we will come back with a customer service standard at some stage this year to put to members.
Depending on the customer request, I mean, you could identify your customer request for various asset types pretty quickly.
Yeah.
Receive based on and severity, and you could actually create a service standard around those main types pretty quickly, really. And I'll not in leading to contractor availability, I don't think really an appropriate answer. To be honest, I think you should be giving a 10-day or a 5-day depending on severity. You can get someone out to lift a couple of papers and relay them, if that is the case, if it is considered severe. So I'd be interested. I think that's, because you're right, I think that's where I did leave it once you started talking about the customer request. But I don't think it is necessarily about how quickly you respond to the customer. I think it's more about how quickly you respond to the issue. I mean, yeah, it's great that you're ringing the customer back and advising that you've accepted and you're going to have a look at it, but I think it'd be better to say that, as our service standard, we've got 5 days to rectify that and it will be done. So I think that's something that administration can definitely move forward with. And that's becoming pretty well, quite most councils would have that.
That's certainly ultimate. We're just conscious we don't want to overcommit ourselves to a public statement that our budget or our resources can't fund, so keeping that balance
I
right.
appreciate that, and that's why you're looking at your numbers.
Yeah.
But if there is something that is severe and it is public health, I think, or safety matter, I think you do it on a 5-day.
Yeah.
Put a cone there, do your big maybe line marking, and actually get it. So it's all about severity. If it's really severe, you mark it up, you zone it off. It's a little bit less severe than it's obviously a bar spray. Maybe you have a 10 or a 20-day rectification period. And you could probably group a few of them up and often out to a contractor, but ways around it. Anyway, look, that's what you do. You should have service standards in place. So,
Would you like a question on service standard noted in the minutes?
no, that's all right.
No?
I think we can.
No problem. All right. No problem, thank you. Any other questions without notice? No, we'll move on. Any motions without notice? Motion without notice, Councillor.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. There were some emails between ourselves and the CEO regarding my motion without notice. That, and at that point in time, I hadn't seen the agenda. And I agree that I think it's best to leave that motion without notice until we get to item 17.
Will be fine for you.
17.2 is it? Just trying to think which one.
It's 17.2.
Yes, okay. Until we get that, and we can then bring it up at one time.
Yeah. All right. Any other expressions and motions without notice? They've been done. We have 3 motions with notice. On there, just reiterating, obviously, with 2 of them, Councillor Williams just had a general conflict. Obviously, he'll move the motion and stand for the debate and vote. So I'll hand over for item 14.1, Councillor Williams.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. I think, given we've just been out and viewed the sites, the motion's fairly straightforward. What I was actually asking for is for administration to provide a report. So given what we've viewed on the site there, I don't know that I need to really discuss it any further. We're just asking for a report to come back that relates to those issues that are in the motion, so I'm happy to just move it.
Certainly, and I think it's pretty self-explanatory as well. So do we have a seconder? Seconded, Councillor Trott, did you wish to speak to the motion?
I think we've resolved.
Any speakers for or against, or anything wishing to speak on the matter? Councillor Vance, though?
Yeah, I'm against. The car park complies with the Australian standards. I think it's unnecessary to go any further. So I don't think we should waste any time on preparing a report.
Certainly. Any other views for or against, or anyone just wanting to make a general comment? Okay, Councillor Williams, I'll give you the right to sum up if you wish to say anything.
No, once again, I think it's pretty self-explanatory. It was spoken on site and viewed it, so I'm still happy to have moved it.
Certainly. All right. Those in favour? Those against? I'll just do that again. Those in favour? Just to remember. 3. And those against? 4. I declare it lost. Okay, item 14.2, Councillor Williams' notice motion regarding the fence replacement at the W. I'll hand over to you, Councillor Williams.
Once again, same as the last motion. Administration has given us some indicative costs already. So I guess the only thing we could do is just change the motion that we proceed with the word.
Through you, Chair, Councillor Williams could consider withdrawing the motion if he wanted to, if he was convinced that the variation report and the confidential report addressed his issue and therefore could be resolved straight away. Because I think the recommendation is that we, as you've suggested, to go ahead and replace the fence.
Yeah, sorry, I'd just forgotten that was in the later recommendation, so yeah, I'm happy to withdraw.
Yeah, so motion notice 14.2 is withdrawn. Notice of motion 14.3 from Councillor Williams regarding the drain at the Walkerville Bowling Club. I'll hand over to Councillor Williams.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. My main concern with the drain had been, I know at a workshop that we had, and it's not a place that you make any decisions. My main concern with that location was like when we had a workshop and we discussed it, we'd spoken about one particular thing, and then that didn't necessarily occur, yet we didn't have any further information advising what had actually occurred. So once again, tonight, now that we've had, that we've been on site and viewed and had explained to us that the drain operates rather than the wall that was there previously, it's now locked into the drain on the street by one straight drain that comes up in that sump that's been fitted within the drain around the oval. That any overflow from that will then disperse out around the oval. So once again, the concerns that I have probably been allayed by looking on site and having explained to us what was happening in that location. So I guess just one thing is, it would be great to have those explanations when we've spoken about those particular things coming back to us, which would then avoid putting motions up or something like that. Not that I mind doing them, but
one thing you might want to consider is still having this as an information report to the next council meeting, so it's on the record. That's your call, whether you want to, how you want to do that, or stick with it.
Well, actually, that's a very good point. Thank you for that. I think it would still be good having that as an information report, just so that we've got an explanation of the of how that system is actually working.
It's also for the public as well.
Yeah, that's right. So I guess we just change the motion, or do we just add to it that being presented as an information report?
I think if you leave it like that, they'll just probably put it as an information report, so it's up to you whether you want to.
Oh, well, actually, it's asking for a report anyway.
Correct.
It's at the February meeting, so, yeah, sorry, I hadn't reread it.
No, that's okay.
So, yeah.
Yeah, all right.
So if that's the case, I'll move the motion.
Certainly. Is there a seconder for the motion? Second by Councillor Zeppel. Do you wish to speak to it? No?
Nothing further to read.
No? Any speakers for or against, or any general comments? No? Alright, put it to the vote. All in favour? Against? And declare that carried. Thank you. Alright, we'll move on to decision reports. Item 15.1, the Council Resolution Register. If I can just have a mover for that. Move Councillor Core, thank you. Seconded Councillor Allenson. Any speakers? No? Put it to the vote. All those in favour? Against? Declare that carried. Item 15.2 for the 3-hour parking consultation. I'm just going to get, I'm more than happy with a couple of these. If there's going to be any sort of potential discussion, I will ask if there's, I guess, the need to suspend meeting procedures to discuss this. So does anyone wish to suspend meeting procedures to discuss the 3-hour parking consultation? Councillor Zeppel does, it's fine. Well, I'll give that option. So I just need show of hands to suspend meeting procedures to enable people to talk about this. Yep. Okay, meeting procedures suspended at 7:24 p.m. And I'll open to the floor to have a general discussion. Councillor Zeppel, do you wish to start with that?
Yeah, so with the, please, it's got the expanded view of what we're trying to achieve here. I've personally had a number of residents over the Christmas New Year period and subsequently getting really hot on me of what's happening with Buckingham Gardens, and they think parking's not great now and they see what's happening. So So this is really time that we're looking closely at this now and solving the problem along here, because I've had many a comment, it's like, well, it's great that we live on Walkerville Terrace, but we can't park out there every day because it's one park's there on bus. So it's a problem that's been there for a while, so we're looking forward to giving feedback to them. And the other flow and effect of looking at reviewing our parking policy, that if you've got a place in the Buckingham Arms, if you have 2 cars, well, you have to park at the Buckingham Arms and that's it. So I think that's a great initiative because that's a concern of residents as well.
Particularly for with the bucket and everything in the future, and we'll hope to sort of address some of that traffic. In Walkerville Terrace, I've had similar feedback as well that the whole strip needs to be looked at. Any other comments? Or CEO?
Yes, I can just answer fill in the gap there, Councillor Zeppel. We did actually have a revised policy attached to this report, but we withdrew it at the last minute because we found out a technical issue that we need to look into the wording a bit more carefully, and we want to we think we address the back end, but there's a couple of other issues we don't think the policy quite addressed, so that will come back to the next meeting. So that's imminent at this stage.
Yeah. Fortunately, we've got some time in the time budget on it because we're 2 years before everyone's living there.
Yeah.
Minimum.
Alright, I'll resume meeting procedures at 7:26 p.m. and call for a mover of the resolution. Move Councillor Zeppel. Did you wish to speak to Councillor Zeppel? No. And I saw seconded Councillor Core. Any other further speakers? No? I'll put it to the vote. All in favour? Against? I declare that carried. Thank you. Item 15.3 for the Stephen Terrace private laneway. Again, I'll ask if there's any need to go into suspend meeting procedures, but if there's not, that's no problem at all. Does anyone need for that to be, any procedures be suspended? No? Okay, item 15.3, first of all, ask if anyone has any questions. No? I'll call for a mover. Move Councillor Vanstone, seconded Councillor Zeppel. Any speakers? No? Okay, put it to the vote. All those in favour? Against? Declare that carried. I will reiterate for item 15.4, I will declare a material conflict. May or may not be required, but I know in previous iterations of conflict of interest provisions, if there's a payment for a conference that has been, that it's material, so that's why I'm declaring it as such. We will need a vote for a councillor to chair this part for item 15.4. So I'll just put a random nomination out there so we can just keep the meeting flowing. If Councillor Williams would be willing to just chair this bit. If you're happy with that, Councillor Williams, for item 15.4, you're happy to chair it?
No, actually, I think it'd probably be better if one of the previous deputies from this term did it.
Okay, not a problem. I will go to Councillor Allenson, just if you're happy to chair this section or certainly. Okay. Yes, we need a resolution. Yep. So there will need to be a resolution. So Councillor Trotter's moving Councillor Allenson, seconded Councillor Williams. All those in favour? Okay. Declare that carried. Thank you. No, wait.
Send me your homework.
Okay, we'll recommence. Acting Mayor Ripley's left the room. So, decision report 15.4. So, the motion is that the council approve Deputy Mayor Stephen Ripp's attendance at the Deputy Mayor Forum, 27 February 2026. Vote is required. Mover. Councillor Trotter, seconder. Councillor Zeppel. All in favour? Carried.
He's done.
He's done.
That's it there.
Bring the book back. Bring the book back. Bring the book back. Yeah, open the book and then you can leave it. Cut that out.
Like I didn't run away.
Yes, cut that out, leave that.
Thank you. Okay, we'll move on to item 15.5. The reason we're putting item 15.5 as a decision report is just noting formally that motions of motions to the CEO have to be before close of business Wednesday, 4 February. So I don't expect to be debate on this one, but we do need that formally noted. So for item 15.5, are there any questions? No? Move Councillor Trotter, seconded Councillor Zappel. All those in favour? Against? Declare that carried. Item 15.6, Walkerville Community revised term of reference. Are there any questions on this item? No? Call for a mover. Move Councillor Call, seconded Councillor Zappel. Any speakers for this item? No? Put it to the vote. All those in favour? Against? Declare that carried. Item 15.7. Happy, does anyone wish to suspend meeting procedures to discuss this item? I probably really want to say something, so Councillor Trotter as well. So meeting procedures for this one, I'll put a show of hands for meeting procedures to be suspended. Thank you. Meeting suspended at 7:31 p.m. I'll start with Councillor Trotter. Is there anything you wish to say on this item?
I guess looking at it and looking at the applicants and how much that each applicant's put in, I'm wondering, and I'm just throwing it out there, I'm wondering whether you just do a blanket $100 and for administration because I mean it's pretty hefty to see these reports and have to tick to make sure everything's done, and I know that we're looking at putting cameras and things like that in. I have cameras, I have doorbells, I have all that stuff. I kind of find it difficult that someone spent $4,000 in getting 1,000 and someone else has spent 300 and something and getting 200, because I know why. I know that there's a criteria, and depending on how many people in the house, some are self-funded, some are pensioners, I get all of that stuff. I think it would be much easier to give an individual person $100 and a business a certain amount, and that admin type thing would be better. But that's just my view on it.
Sure.
So at the same time.
So having spoken to the Mayor before she went away on this one, the reason we're presenting this back tonight is because the last meeting has stayed silent, and I don't think that's fair. Like, we either need to make the call to approve them or not approve them. Staying silent, we can't respond, our administration can't respond. So I do think that, and the Mayor does as well, that we need to respond either way, yeah or nay. But equally, it's also that these people have applied in good faith because we set the policy, we set the agenda, we set the policy, we've organised the forum. So both the Mayor and I feel, obviously it's your call, the Council's call, support either way, but the Mayor definitely noted that we were the ones that had the policy, so we've just got to bear that in mind as well. And people have applied in good faith to our conditions in the policy and they meet the requirements. That being said, we are open to changing it, so that's your call. Also, the option will be that we can keep this running because the applications can still come in, and you can look at abandoning it after this financial year, reviewing it. Obviously, a report will come back, but obviously I'm in your hands, but just wanted you to know that the Mayor and I have been speaking to administration on this one, and hence why it's back tonight.
I'm for it. I believe having the cameras and having doorbells and things is important. I just think the criteria can get messy depending on spending and things like that. So to make it easier, if you just have it two different, one for a business and one for an individual, regardless to what they can afford, I just think that would have made it easier. Because I struggle with, like I said, giving someone more money for spending less, but I'm all for it. I think we trial it for this year and see how many people and the results of the people that are actually using it. We've had our cameras and doorbell used in fall break-ins and other crime in the area, so I feel it's important to have that. We've set this up, and I think it's good to trial it at least for 12 months.
And we said it's obviously one suite of measures we've implemented, including the township patrols as well, security patrols. So, any other, while we've got meeting procedures suspended, anyone else like to ask any questions, say anything further? No? Okay, we'll go back into the meeting. Oh, sorry. No? We'll resume
Sorry,
Oh,
Deputy Mayor.
certainly, yeah.
Deputy Mayor, if I can just clarify,
Certainly can.
just with Councillor Trotter's comments about the two things, the set amount for a business and resident, if that's in the policy, so I'm just wondering if that's something council would like admin to act on. We just need that in the resolution so we can amend the policy. And also, I wasn't sure if you meant just by the comments about bringing it back to council, the amount of admin work with it. At the moment, the policy says that the panel, which is GM of Corporate Services, GM Public Relations, and the Mayor, they make the decision and then recommend that to council. Whether or not you prefer that they still make the choice, but it doesn't come back to council in the form of a report there, just if I get clarification on those 2 points.
This is just my point. I think once you say it's this amount and we're not having sliding scale, we really I don't think it needs to be here. We can have a progress report as to how it's happening, but do you really need a report and putting all those,
While we've got meeting procedures still suspended, we can look at altering any part of this, so that way before we pull it back.
Yeah.
So if that, anyone wish to further discuss that before
I'd close it down.
Tony!
I was waiting for your one on.
I think it has value to at least explore for a period of time, but I wonder for the value of what we're doing, whether it's too much administration for the small amount where we could blanket it and say, could you report on it? I don't know if that's how anyone else feels, but that's how I look at it. Sorry, anyone else? Tony?
I think it's sending the right message to the community that highlighting the security is important. So I'm keen to see it run its course for that. I think it's going to have a natural life, and I'm more in the Tony camp. We probably won't continue it because we've sort of had that to focus. But it's the idea we actually have listened. So.
There's only so many cameras we have.
Through you, Deputy Mayor, that would be my recommendation. Let it run through to June 30 as it is, and then we review whether we actually go on with it. Because yes, I do agree, Councillor Trotter, it probably costs us more in staff resources than it does that we're actually providing to administer it. But it is what it is. We agree to the policies. Let's say let it float through for the next couple of months, and then we can reassess what we do in 2026, 27.
Okay, we'll resume standard meeting
Can I ask
procedures.
before you do?
Certainly.
Sorry. So that means that the other people that we had rejected previously will come back in, and this will cater for them as well?
Because through the Deputy Mayor, the last special meeting in January, the motion, nothing happened with it, so that means they weren't technically rejected. So this motion here captures the people, everyone who's applied.
It does, it captures them.
So just if you do want us to make the changes, just about not bringing it back to council and also setting 2 different amounts, I just need that in the resolution so that we can amend the policy and carry out those changes.
And hence why the Mayor and I were keen to see this return, because otherwise it just stayed silent and it meant administration couldn't respond and the Mayor couldn't respond, which is not a good position.
No. I kind of think we probably have to follow through to 30 June the way it is. But I'd like to see then after that in the new financial year that we possibly revisit if it's going to sit there, and that's a bit automated, so it doesn't actually have to appear in here as more as a review, because I think it would be a shame to lose the opportunity for cameras and things like that. That's just me.
Sent through our delegation, administration can sign them off. If that's what we put up, that sounds like what I do.
So the previously 2 applications were not moved, and it has come back again with additional.
That's right. So it was 2 plus
And
6.
it will be moved, that all of the application will be moved together?
So had the original motion at the special council meeting been passed, we'd only be seeing 2 applications tonight. The reason we're seeing 4 is that the original 2 stayed silent. So the original 2 are back in for consideration, and we've had another 2 in that time. So we're 4 in total.
So I'm happy if we go back in.
Are you happy to move as is?
Sorry?
We'll do meeting procedures then at 7:40,
Yeah,
certainly.
but I will amend
Yeah. What do you propose the amended motion to be? Just we're just maybe.
The amended motion would be that administration, like I don't think it needs, if we're setting a clear boundary of what it is and we've got a limit, I think by 30 June, I don't think we're going to use the limit. So I'd like to see another point and say administration are able to, can someone help me with it?
Are you trying to amend the policy to say that it no longer needs to come back to council and that the panel is able to make that decision themselves up until the end of the financial year?
That's what I'm,
all right.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's what I'm looking for. Can I also ask a question? If we do amend this, can we also amend the amount?
Probably advise to do it in 2 parts, otherwise it gets clunky. I think though, because the motion's before us tonight, we probably have to deal with the first 4 applications and then that can sit under, would be my advice.
Can we bring it back to the 30th after in the new year to revise the terms?
Yeah, we'd need a report to come back. I'm assuming that will happen. If you would wish to put in the motion that after 30 June, a report to come back to review the program. Yeah, let's work with this for a second. That's okay. Just give the administration a moment.
Sorry.
That's okay. Doesn't matter. Let's get it right.
It happens. Liz, are you happy with it?
Maybe want to think about number 3, whether if we're asking for a report after June, probably doesn't need to come prior. Just have a think about 3.
Yeah, I'm thinking that if we allow this approval and then as at the new financial year come with a report that states how many we've had, what kind of, so then we can either
Number 3, it's all
cover it.
because we're asking in 5 for a report in the new financial year, then number 3 is contradicting that, saying the report is going to come back before.
Yeah, that's okay.
Yeah.
I will take it out.
Take 3 out, yeah.
Take 3 or 5 out?
5.
Then we have our policy.
Because it's going to come back and then we're going to revisit it and then the terms.
Like which month is there any specific month we are reviewing the policy?
Through the chair, so each policy has got its own.
There's a regular before that we have
Forward.
Tuesday if we want to.
Once every 4 years usually, but once every 4 years most of our policies, but it doesn't stop council from reviewing it every year. Then it's due back.
Could they know, well, I would have changed it to 100 individual at
One
least,
speaker at a
but
time.
I don't think I can do that. We'll let it run its course. Because I would have changed it to individuals at 100 and businesses get 500, but is that overcomplicating it and just letting it run its course now?
I think it probably is, because we're saying stuff differently, what we're
Yeah.
writing at the top.
I think
Yeah,
so.
but
Just,
changing the whole policy
would be
like that
right
would be an entire rewrite nearly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No.
yeah, no, leave it the way it is. It may not live if Tony gets hold of it.
So just take a moment if we can. I'm happy people just to take a moment and read thoroughly the 4 points. So just make sure we're happy with all 4. So happy that the report will come before the end of the financial year in 3? Yeah, no problem.
Yeah, I'm happy.
So certainly, I'll move Councillor Trotter, seconded Councillor Allen. Is there any speakers on the item?
Please.
Okay, I'll put that to the vote. All those in favour? Against? And declare that carried.
You went up with the favours.
So item 15.8 for the land ownership for that. Is there any need for that meeting procedures to be suspended on this item?
I'll give you some more.
No? Okay, any questions on item 15.8? Any questions? There being none, I will call for a mover of the item. Move Councillor Zeppel. Seconder. Seconded by Councillor Core, thank you. Any speakers on the item?
Looking forward to getting this matter settled because it's a little bit unsettling knowing that we've got bits of the land that we're using for the revegetation that actually owned by the crowd across the river. So it's not operationally a problem, but it's just annoying. So it'd be great to get this matter settled.
Certainly, and that has been summed up by the mover. So all those in favour? Against? Declare that carried. Item 15.9, the Major Works Plan 2026. I'll call if anyone wishes to suspend meeting procedures to discuss this one. Item 15.9. No? Okay. Any questions for item 15.9 for the Major Work Projects Plan? Councillor Williams?
Just, thank you, Deputy Mayor. Just one question that relates to point 4 in the recommendation. Has the RSL shown interest in being involved in the process? Yeah.
I had a discussion with the RSL Friday last week. Their indication was, when we first started talking about it, that they thought they wouldn't be involved. When I drilled down further into that, I suspect the short period of time they had to make a decision probably influenced their decision. My discussion with them was similar to what I've got here, that I've recommended that one of their members be on the design committee, and that was based on the view that the more they can touch and feel it and see how it might work for them, the more chance they are and will be part of it. And if they are part of it, and even if they don't come in from day one, at least we know that there's potentially an option or know what they require if they did come in down the track. So part of this was keeping the door open for them to not close it off and to make them comfortable with what we were doing, that they could be part of it if they choose to down the track, and buy them some time to actually grow used to the idea. It was probably a good summation, and they were agreeing with it and actually talking about the benefits that this could provide and who they could put on it. So I think I flipped that conversation around a bit to at least keep them in the tent and keep the door open for them.
Thanks very much for your answer. I guess I was just wanting to gauge as to whether they're interested at all or had absolutely no interest, and I think the tack that you're using is a good one to have them involved, and then they may well see the opportunities that are there. So thanks for the answer, and I'm happy to move the recommendation.
Certainly. So moved by Councillor Williams. Do you wish to speak further to Eleanor? No? Seconded. Seconded by Councillor Zeppel. Any further discussion on this item? Councillor Trotter.
From all the time frames that have been given for these projects and the design and construction, and so they look quite tight time frames. Can I just have a bit of I know we've done this before, so just how we think we're going to achieve this?
And I will sort of echo those. I have, as part of reviewing the agenda, looked at and was concerned around the tightness of the timelines, that if we're missing anything or if we're missing the mark on feedback, I'm concerned that it will delay quite a bit. So I just would like sort of an explanation as well, if we can, CEO, if you'd like to add anything to that.
Can you? Absolutely. They are tight. We've got some natural buffers, particularly with the sports club. If there is going to be money in the federal budget and grants, we're surmising if there is might come out in August, September, we've got to be ready to take that opportunity because we don't know when it will come up again. Also with caretaker kicking in September, early September, that is also a natural stopper that we can't make. My view is that approving a master plan is a significant policy decision which is prohibited under caretaker policy. Hence, yes, it is tight. The challenge will be for everyone around this table to keep everyone accountable for achieving that, and if there's some concerns about issues, we need to resolve them quickly. That doesn't mean making a quick decision, that still needs making an informed decision that we're comfortable for. But the time for procrastination and navel gazing will be a bit limited. As I think has been said around this table, I think it might have actually been for yourself, Acting Mayor, that once you get the grant, you can change to some extent what you actually do. So it's not what you're stuck with, is what you agree to is not what you're stuck with. There is some flexibility, but we need to have something we can put in a grant application, that we've got a financial report, we've got a business case, that we've got some plans that we can look and feel and touch.
And that, I'm happy with that. I guess the biggest thing is what if something holds us up and we hit caretaker mode before?
Yeah.
That's my only concern. But I guess that's for us to stay aligned and true to the cause, I guess.
It is a significant risk, and you ask me my confidence of getting there. We'll do our absolute very best to get us there. But there's obviously a lot of curveballs, and particularly with the sports club that I think one of my staff described as being in a triangle. There's been a number of attempts done it over a period of time that haven't been successful. So with that in mind, yeah, we'll do our best to attempt to do that. We'll report against it. We'll identify early if there's anything that's going to stop us from doing it. So I expect us, administration, to keep the council members accountable, and the council members keep us accountable for collectively achieving that goal.
Perfect. Thank you.
Yes, as Councillor call for a question.
I'm happy we are going to have some other major projects and what's coming up 2026. I just wanted to know, like, if we are working on levy overdraft, and do we have any report or something like that, which area we need to consider first, like which are the more priorities?
Sorry, I just missed the start of your question. Sorry, Councillor Cook, could you just repeat the start of it? Sorry, I didn't realise.
And the levy over, like if we are going to...
Oh, Levi.
Okay. Yeah. So do we have any reports or prioritized work that we need to be done before the other projects, like what are the priorities we need to know that we have to concentrate on this, what needs to be done before the other project?
Yes, so in the report that timelines for
that's the budget. Do we have any reports like which area we need to be considering, or like lights or benches or?
Yeah, so it's in the scope. So CEO may correct me if I'm wrong. So it should be the scope of work should be in the report for each of the projects, which outlines, and the CEO has stated that the timelines, particularly for the sports club, are tight. But Levi, the scope of works are in the report.
Thank you.
Councillor, is there anything you wish to add to that?
Only that we're reasonably advanced in that, so I've had some traffic management studies done on the best way of maximising the parking on Vale Street. We've had the lighting experts out having a look at the ground to work out how the lights, what type of lights should be there, how high, what needs to be required. So that one is relatively advanced.
Other lights and CCTV needs to be get done before other things are done.
Okay, well, to encourage, if you haven't said the scope of works for all the projects are there, definitely for the sports club it appears tight, but the CEO has given assurances that all going well will meet it. So, Councillor Trolley, did you have anything you wish? Oh, sorry. And Councillor Zippel, did you have your hand up?
It's good that we've got a deadline because that helps us to focus our attention.
Correct.
Otherwise, we'll just waffle along and it'll be this time next year. Yeah, but we can get around to that.
And that was the purpose of this report. When we had a look internally, we thought we've got a lot of work to do, so I was glad there was a bit of consensus at the workshop that Walkerville Terrace should be put off until we get the others under control. But we'll put some money in the budget, so when we do get around to it, we aren't going blind. There's a bit of a money to do something there, but yes, it is tight.
And it's good for accountability too, Councillor Nankin.
Yeah, I was just thinking about that, see, particularly Walkerville Terrace. I see it actually as one of our, like, a really important project for this council, and I absolutely understand why we're going to delay or put it back, and I think it's great that we're allocating 100,000 for the 26-27. But I'm just wondering, is there any other little, like even in, I know it goes in the motion or not, but just other little actions that need to be done, because I think it is about sending a message to the traders along Walkerville Terrace that something is going to happen, and we're not just, because it is, I mean, we're talking what, 2030 was what was it again? Terrace 2030, 32, and then, delivered in 2033, 35. I mean, it's quite a long way away, and if you want to try and create buzz and get involvement and sort of have them start planning, have traders planning for the future, or not traders so much, the property owners to start preparing for a mix of use, then I think we need to be creating an economic development panel or a street upgrade committee, like a Walkerville Terrace committee or something like that along those lines. And I think we've done similar things to those in the past. I think Sarah's been involved in that, but if we're starting to get, we're going to actually itemise this as a particular project, we're going to put lights around it, I think we want to actually get more buy-in this time than what we had in the past. So,
critical thing with motion part 2, if I'm reading it right, it's pausing it in 26-27. So we'll revisit it.
Yeah, that was only putting the $100,000 in for for a master plan.
Yes.
How do we keep the landowners and the traders' interest up for another 5 or 6 years? I mean, I just think we need to create a Walkerville Terrace committee or something like that, just to try and, even if they meet only, I don't know, it's probably something a bit more complex and something we need to think about. But, everything, all our focus is going to be on other projects, Levi, the Oval, etc. And I think, those, our intent on what we want to do with Walkerville Terrace might get sort of pushed in the shadows and forgotten. So, it's a big piece of work and it's very complex as a report states, but I think it's also about trying to keep providing the interest and making sure those who do have the power to make this happen are actually quite involved and excited about it.
And not lose that momentum for too long.
And through you, Chair, my view would be that once these other couple of projects are bedded down, then we would pick up. So I would say at the latest it'll be this time next year that we pick it up. That's the latest, because the view is that, as I've indicated the report, is complex. It is probably a cross-departmental involvement, so it will be all hands on decks due to the complexity of it. So therefore I want to ensure that we do it properly, so ensure we've got the resources committed to it. So I'm only looking at, I think my wording I used was pausing it for, probably 6 to 9 months until we get under control, until next financial year to get the other projects up and running.
I mean, I suppose the question is to, undertake a master plan, who's involved in that?
Yeah. Part of this would be actually coming back to you with how we get a committee up and going, how we get engaged traders, how we engage property owners. That would be part of the process we'd put back to you, as to how we bring it to life.
Right, that will be for the new council, so it's probably worth.
Yeah.
Would you like to put a particular time on this? Because it does say at the moment pausing the master plan and other initiatives until 26-27. Do you want to put a sort of a tighter time frame around that so that the new council are going to see? That's up to you, but currently it's written that it's only paused until 26-27, but if you want a tighter that's an option to consider.
Yeah, one thing you just put in there to commence planning of a structure, I don't know, CEO of Walkerville. But yeah, no, because it's Sports Master Plan and other initiatives associated with rejuvenating and activating Walkerville Terrace until 26-27 to enable other projects to be completed. However, maybe establishing or considering the necessary steps to establish a Walkerville Terrace committee. Is that the intent? Will we to include landowners and traders? I mean, where are we at with that? We've had our one workshop on it, but where are we at? What are we thinking?
I'm thinking we actually defer until we get the sports club and Levi and the depot up and running. Otherwise, if we get the committee up now, my view is it will sink us. We are doing too much. That we've got to, given literally the people that are doing that are sitting around this table and are doing business as usual as well as these couple of projects. So let's do something, do what we're doing and do it properly. And then move on when we've got the clear time span.
I do think we have to keep Theo Maris interested.
Yes.
It would be great good if we lost him and he died because it would take him so long.
Yeah. No, I still intend, I've got a meeting hopefully towards the end of this month with the owners of the shopping centre here to talk to them. We're still talking to RSL, and part of it is to get them in the sports club so their land's free, so we're not doing nothing. And we'll use Theo on a few of those discussions. So no, we're not putting him to the side, but yeah, doing things substantial, I think it'll just sink us by taking on too much.
Are we communicating with Theo and just letting him know that we've got a few projects that we're working on first, but we'll be going back to, recircling back to, and we're still working on it? I just thought it's good to keep him back in the loop and let him know that we haven't just, forgotten about it.
No.
That we're kind of revisiting, just finishing off a few things and then we'll come back.
Yeah.
I think that's what you're saying.
Yeah. And we do need to communicate to Theo.
Maybe I don't mind the word pause. Maybe we just get rid of that to say master plan a number of initiatives associated with rejuvenating and activating Walkerville Terrace in 26-27. To enable.
Will be revisited in 26-27.
Just say in 26-27. You're basically saying we'll do it in 26-27. You're getting rid of the word pause. You're just saying master plan a number of initiatives to be conducted in 26-27. That's the way. Just sort of strengthening it up, and when the future council read, the recommendations, that's it's going to happen.
And to take the last line out then?
No, I think it's to enable other initiatives. It's just my view. It's a bit topical.
And we did, Justin, before
before
we just have that put in, I do need to ask the mover and the seconder if they're happy for that to be included, or if not, it can be standalone amendment, but I do want to ask the mover. Happy for that?
Oh, it was just removing that one word.
Yeah, we just check that we've
I
got
can
it.
go back if you like.
Oh, no, that's okay.
It was just removing the word pause, wasn't it?
Yes.
Yes, in essence, and just
I
saying.
inserted in instead of until. That's pretty important.
Yeah. So just
Oh,
check.
okay, yeah. You probably need V in front of master plan, don't you?
And to be conducted to enable other projects.
Well, maybe we'll get rid of that last bit, up to you, Councillor Williams.
Oh,
Because it's a recommendation, we really need to justify.
I don't know that I would get rid of that second bit, because through the workshops and the discussions we'd had, there was council and I think administration as well were concerned that they did have too much.
Yes.
And we all thought it's best to just, although use pause, I think the way you've changed is a lot better, because pause is almost sort of, it could have some sort of indefinite about that. But I know as well, I'm confident that if all of these actions were to come off, that we got funding for all of them and we were going to proceed with all of them, I'm also confident that the administration would come back to us and say, happy days, we've got all this money for all of these projects, we need some help. That you would come back to us if you felt that you couldn't that you couldn't proceed with everything we had on the table. But I think Councillor Mickey's point's a very good one, because how far you keep pausing or pushing or pushing things out when if we do want there to be some change on the terrace, we need to look at some stage all of the ways we go about that. So it's not only involving your property owners and businesses, but it's also contemplating again the development plan we have for the mainstream and I guess and the associated heights to buildings that allow and so on and so forth.
So one thing just a factor with the change, thanks to the group manager, with the change we just need to factor, so if we're being definitive and saying it will be conducted in, and we've got a budget for it, and that's will sort of be locked in, whereas underneath in part 3 we're saying consider allocating 100,000 to address this, so we've just got to be just mindful that we'll have the $100,000 in part 3 in the draft budget, we're considering that, but we're being definitive in saying we're not pausing for consideration at all, where we're saying that'll be done there, so it's just, we just need to factor in that will be then budgeted. Is that correct?
Yeah, so my understanding originally from this motion was that in 26-27 we will allocate $100,000 to do some initial initiatives, and then we will revisit the master plan. So are we revisiting master plan in 26-27 while we are doing initial initiatives? Because it's the idea to have initial initiatives in 26-27 and then in the following year consider the budget for a master plan. Because this, at this point in time, the way I see is a little bit contradicting that you are allocating 100,000, but then you will also be allocating another budget to do the master plan at the same time. So just wanted a bit of clarity in that for my budgeting purposes.
Okay.
Well, it's a difficult one because I agree with council, I agree with both of you, but I think having the word pause in sends probably a poor signal to the traders on Walkerville Terrace, yet leaving it in also has implications, as you've just explained.
Through the chair, would you consider in item 2 that we say to be conducted in 27-28, so you do the initial works in 26-27 and then in the following year, by that time when the sports club is done, like it is almost there, and Levi is almost there, and then you pay attention, which was the original purpose of this motion?
Well, the only difficulty then is they're a little bit the wrong way around as well, because I'm not certain that we would want to spend $100,000 on Walkerville Terrace until we knew what we were doing with it. So it's
the view of putting the 100 in was to put a bookmark there to be revisited. So to come back is that putting direct initiatives on? Is it doing master planning? What is it actually doing? And part of that was to put some money there so we had some money to do something, whether that is a master plan or whether that is doing some low-hanging fruit that we might choose to do. But really to put some money there for initiatives that are really to be determined by council. They'll be subject to a whole heap of papers and other options and workshops to work out the best strategy forward. But I was just keen to ensure there was some money in next year's budget, so we didn't get to, okay, we need to do something in Walkerville Terrace, oh good, but we've got no money. So this was more just put a bookmark in, put 100,000 in there, then we can determine when we get to it as to how we spend it, what the best way of spending it is.
I'd leave 2 out, it doesn't make sense anyway.
I can't understand the distance, seems like control.
The other option is if we can just, I don't know, it makes it a bit tricky for the minute taker, but whether we just have a relook at what it was originally and just see whether have a read.
Let's see the chart.
And to copy Councillor Williams' comments, just be aware that while we're pushing it back 12 months, we did bring it forward from 2030. So the message we're sending is, I think, to the traders is we want to do this properly, and we need to ensure that we've got the adequate resources and time to do it properly. And we're actually still bringing it forward significantly to what was in our strategic plan or towards 2035.
The other option for point 3 is you could, to be consistent with point 3, say consider commencing the master plan in 26, 27, and then we'll work it out as we go. That's the other option, so it's consistent and not understand what the group manager is saying about being contradictory. So whether you want to, instead of saying pause, consider commencing the master plan. But I'll leave that to the floor.
Yeah, with the wording we had before, that I actually going to pick that up as well. It's like, yeah, we've sort of committed ourselves to this is all happening that year, but actually we might only just be starting it.
Well, when we say initial initiatives, what do we actually mean? What are we perceiving that to be? We're going to put $100,000 in the annual business plan budget to undertake initial initiatives associated with rejuvenation and activation. But what would that mean? What is that 100,000 going for? So what are we saying? It's not for design, so it's about.
Part of that was to allow council to work through what might be done. If you ask for my personal opinion, I think we've identified that we need better pedestrian crossings across the road. We need to look at how we can activate individual premises, whether that's parklets or other stuff. We need to look at how we brand the street. Do we create its own Walkerville Terrace brand? And if we do, we carry that forward to banners and lighting and wayfinding. So that's what I see in a nutshell. That's the infrastructure role. The other part of it is getting the business mix, changing the business mix that's currently down there to have more retail and more hospitality down there that's sadly lacking. In practical terms, I think it's working with some of the key initial businesses that are down there that are already there, but also identifying opportunities to activate areas like the RSL, and there might be a couple of others I think got a lot of potential that we can, which will hopefully lead to others upgrading. Hence why it's not just let's do a master plan and do a bit of infrastructure work. It's a more broader, all-encompassing piece of work. And therefore, as I say, that's why I'm trying not to determine an outcome, but rather say we need to get to have those discussions as a group and as an elected body to determine what you want to do, but they are certainly my views or recommendations. But that's probably a discussion in about 6 months' time. But we just want to make sure we've got some money, that once we have those discussions, work out what we do want to do, that we've got some money to be able to do something.
I'm just conscious, I believe we still are in full meeting procedures. So point 2, would the mover and seconder wish to edit that to something like consider commencing, I'll let a minute take it, consider commencing, and then where it's got until and put in? That's just a thought of mine, but I'm happy. Consider commencing, and then that's consistent with the wording in point 3, consider allocating. That's up to you.
I'm a little bit concerned, just listening to that, CEO, it just sounds like a bit of a bucket for what we could, we don't really know what we're going to do, let's just put some money away, and then we can spend it on some ideas that we have going forward, and that makes me just think that it's a little bit, it's all a bit grey, and we don't really know what we're doing still, and to really throw a spanner in the works, I was just starting to think now that we just wipe out 1.3 and say, but not take it out of recommendation, but just say that a workshop to be held and a report to come back to council about the timing and planning for Walkerville Terrace, and then in that report we can have a recommendation that really steps out what we want to do. Because to say that we're going to put $100,000 into rejuvenating, you talk about pedestrian crossings and whatnot, but I don't think that's part of the master plan.
Yep.
Whereas the branding and everything, that might be something that we can put to create the hype and the interest. That could be, but I think we need to know what we're really going to put the 100,000 into, because 100,000 for this council was quite a lot, and it's may not be operating money too. So, and I was going to raise a motion tonight about services across council and whatnot. So I'm really conscious of our operating budget at the moment. So I want to make sure whatever we're putting $100,000 into something, I want to make sure we've got some real bang for that. So,
what would consideration for the end of point 3? You could put at the end of point 3 a workshop to be conducted as part of the budget discussions to determine.
But do we need to put a budget on it now, or we just wait until we actually have that?
That's the option, whether you pull 3 out altogether, because if they're considering allocating that anyway, that'll form part of the budget discussion.
Yeah, it's under consideration. We are allocating.
Correct.
That's exactly right, and that's what I was just about to say. I think what you can do probably with point 2, and I would be happy with this, and I think the second probably would be too, is where we've got consider allocating where we've got budget and draft budget and annual business plan. If we would put that same line where it goes from in its 2026-27 draft budget and annual business plan also into after the dates in point 2, what we're actually doing is considering both of them within our annual business plan, and if council decides that it doesn't want to go ahead with either of them at that point in time, they can make that determination as part of the budget process. That might also satisfy them as well.
Yeah, no, that's a good
don't
point.
know where I'm putting the money.
Yeah, no, fair enough too. So then it's sort of a decision, but it's not a decision.
Yeah.
It's
It's
to a degree
okay,
delaying it until we go through our budget process.
I think you've come up with the perfect combination there.
So
Councillor Cortes, sorry, Councillor Williams, you had.
just so long as the second is also happy with that change, and I don't think for governance-wise it's a substantial enough change to have to rewrite the record books.
The second are happy with that proposed variation there. Councillor Cool, you had a question, second.
The council is considering allocating 100,000 for each project, the Levi, Owl and the Walkerville Sports, or to all of the projects?
Council, the 100,000 it's talking about just Walkerville Terrace. The other projects will have totally different budget lines. Yeah. Yeah, so this point 2 and 3 is around Walkerville Terrace only, so the 100,000 is just for the terrace. Yeah, no? That's fine. Okay, so we've got, and I know you initially, sorry, Councillor Nenke proposed the variation. You're happy with that variation? Otherwise, we're going to have to...
We're going to get support anyway, but I still... I actually don't even know how to word that up properly. I still think it's a bit washy as to consider commencing. But anyway, I don't want to go take all night on this. But yeah, I mean, unless we firm it, no, we'll be having workshops on everything anyway.
We will, and then lead into the budget.
Yeah. Anyway.
Okay.
Enough of me.
Not a problem. Thanks for the everyone's contributions. So we've got the mover and second. Any other speakers? Okay.
Just one, sorry.
Oh, sorry, Councillor Wilson, certainly.
The point 2 and 3 is, I don't know, are we supposed to be making a decision on this? Is consider the right word for those two? Are we making a decision for it?
It's not really a decision word.
I think 2 and 3 are just things that are floating in the atmosphere when we're considering it.
It's like pausing,
I'll
considering.
consider it later on. You know?
We might do it.
Thoughts?
Yeah, I'm going to properly suspend meeting procedures. So can I just get a show of hands? Because I don't mind if it's going to go for a little while, that's fine. Okay, meeting procedures suspended at 8:18. Let's further discuss it. So
I believe best practice is that you consider it as part of the total annual budget and business plan. Some councils say, I'll allocate X in the budget. My view is no, you should look at the budget in its totality rather than saying, yes, we're going to do this bit and this bit and this bit. So here you're really saying we're considering it when we consider the rest of the budget, rather than saying, you know, we're going to definitely allocate it, because then you might say, oh, when you see what's rest of the budget, you might say, oh no, we don't want to. So this means you just consider it when you consider the rest of the budget.
Doesn't then consider the amount to the, or consider an appropriate budget amount That way at least you're saying you're put some budget in.
Yeah.
But anyway, that just sounds like you're considering the project, not really considering.
That tells administration that when we're putting the budget together, we'll allocate the money to see what it looks like, and then it's up to the body to look through all the projects and say, no, we'll take that out because we prefer something else in its place.
Fair enough, yeah.
That's how I read the resolution or the action we'll be taking.
Or we can decide to increase it to 500.
Yeah.
Or decrease it to 50.
Where's the figure like that?
Let's shop it first.
You've got one though.
Okay, is there any further?
Happy
to
sad
council?
wages then.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Right, is there any further discussion needed on the item? Right, I'm going to resume standard meeting procedures at 8:20. We've got the formal motion there and as edited. Are there any further speakers? Okay. Anyone, does the mover wish to sum up?
No, I think we've already done
Done
that.
Certainly. Right, all those in favour? Against? Declare that carried. Thank you. Alright, item 15.10, the Walkerville Oval Gold Netting consultation. Have the, first of all, any questions on this item? No? I'll seek a mover. Or unless people want the meeting procedure suspended to discuss.
Actually, sorry, I was going to ask.
Ask the question, go for it.
I was going to ask a question. And once again, I think in the walk around it was pointed out anyway, but I noticed in the recommendation, we've got the recommendation about relocating the northern Gold Coast, but in part of the report, it actually still said about doing both ends, for both ends. So now I know that's obviously not going to form part of the recommendation.
No.
I can't see which page it was on there. But some of the report was saying about both ends. But because even if that's part of the report, I can find it later to send it to administration if they like. But given the discussions on site, I'm happy with the recommendation, but we still need to find out, and there's been an indication from emails that the club may have been interested in contributing towards it, but they hadn't given any idea on their future contribution for any replacement. And thank you, Councillor Zepp, it was on page 125. Under financial implications, it says the administration estimates the total cost of relocating all goalposts at both ends of Walkerville Oval would be approximately $5,000. So that doesn't form part of the recommendation, obviously, but it's just trying to make sure there's no confusion around what's occurring.
Might be 124 in that. Could be, yes, no.
Through the chair, that should just read it and all that.
Yeah.
No, just 125.
Sorry?
125.
125, yeah.
On financial implication.
Yeah. No, on this one it's 124, but that's okay. It might be a separate printed version. That's probably because it's a public copy of this one too. That's fine, so it's there. In terms of...
Sorry, I guess I was just asking for the further information that we were given earlier on site, whether the CEO or Deputy Mayor would like to share that information
certainly.
with the council regarding the club's contribution and what their comments were around the 25% for any replacement.
Yeah, so I'm happy to start, and then I had a one-on-one meeting with the CEO this evening, and during that the CEO did advise me that with Mark Webber and the sports club, they have committed to the contribution of $5,000, but they didn't state in the response anything around the future maintenance. So I'd say that was probably just an accident, or that was left off. But that, whether we keep that as part of the resolution or not, look, I personally review that we do, and it's up to them. But that's obviously for the CEO. If you wanted to add anything further to that.
No, one of the issues with this report is it was done fairly late on because Mark was away. We only got to see him Tuesday, and then we turned around the report straight away. I have emailed you separately what the actual words is, what was said. It's silent on the 25% on the maintenance, and that may have been them not picking up on the discussion that we had in relation to the future maintenance, rather than so just an issue that hasn't been considered, rather than them not wanting to.
Yeah.
So it may be a miscommunication when we left the room to come back to us on that. That we were also after contribution towards ongoing maintenance.
I'm just wondering if on the last line after the word and before the 25%, and confirm A, which is confirm A 25% contribution.
Subject to receiving confirmation. So we've received confirmation about the 5K. So we can probably lose subject to confirmation about that bit because we have written confirmation of that. Whether we
Yeah, I would note the name.
agreed, I could split that out. Subject to receiving. We need to have the $5,000 added in. It's just that they've given us written confirmation of the 5,000. It's just we need to seek confirmation of the maintenance. So we can have that. We might need to split it out into two. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then point two, we've received, so we just need to know that we've received
Just a
confirmation.
question through the chair.
Councillor Allinson?
Just in relation to number one, I may have just missed it when you spoke about it, but that $5,000, was that supposed to be 2,500 or it is 5,000 for one set?
Through the chair, it is 5,000.
Yeah, so it's just for the one. Thanks.
No,
Thank you.
yeah.
Thanks, Ross. Council, let's just take a minute. Consultation, noting confirmation from the other day, are prepared to contribute, the sports club. So, and point three would be that council seek confirmation that Walkerville Sports Club will commit 25% towards any future maintenance. People are happy with that, the way that's written? Just take a moment to have a read.
Yeah, I think that's right. Have any movement?
Certainly, so moved by Councillor Williams. You can, yeah, by all means, we'll hold that for a minute. Certainly, Councillor Leakey.
Sorry, the report talks of the estimated life of the nets as being 5 to 7 years. So what would the cost be each time to change the nets? None of the report talks about the cost of these nets individually. I'm just wondering what the cost of the nets is.
So you're in.
Because 5 to 7 years is not long, and that's a pretty expensive asset when you start looking at that cycle.
Location?
I can dig up that information if you want to. 20 seconds.
You got 20,
Yeah.
we'll give you 25.
Very generous.
So, no, what was that? Is it being capitalised, this asset?
Initially,
Initially?
So, yes, it's really capitalised. So,
I've got you some of something.
Once it's constructed, yeah, of course.
So through the chair, I'm looking at the latest quote that PM Sports provided for the 10 metre high, 30 metre wide option. And for both ends, it's listed in here as 8,400. So one end would be 4,200.
Oh, okay, so 4,000 per bed. Correct, yeah. Okay, so
And
every 5.
5,000 towards each for the total cost.
Question through the chair, if we can, just one at a time. So did you finish?
I see, yeah. So I think the answer is 4,000 per net, so every 5 to 7 years.
Councillor Court, did you have a separate question?
Yeah, I didn't see that question. Councillor Nanki, is the 5,000 going towards the total of the cost or just for the one?
Towards the total.
Towards the total, like if it's 8 in total, then contributing 5,000.
Through the chair, that 5,000 is an initial contribution towards the nets as a single sum.
Can you clarify? I don't understand how are you contributing? Like the Walkerville Sports Club, they are ready to contribute 5,000 towards the total cost?
So the Walkerville, what we're asking for in this is the Walkerville Sports Club have given us written confirmation they're prepared to commit to $5,000 towards the total cost of this. So part of it will be a total cost. We can claim half of it back through the grant, and we're asking the club to really pay a smaller contribution. It's $5,000 towards. So there'll be a total cost. We can claim half back through the grant, and we're asking them to pay a quarter of our half contribution effectively. So it's a very small contribution, but we were grateful that they're willing to do that. We're just needing to seek their commitment to the ongoing 25% maintenance, which we don't have. So, Councillor Williams?
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. Just to that point of the figures that Ross has just given us that to replace the nets is $8,000 every 5 to 7 years. If we're asking the club each time that occurs to contribute 25%,
2,000.
We're asking for 2,000 on today's figures. We're asking for $2,000
Yes.
every 5 to 7 years. I actually think that's pretty reasonable.
I think it's reasonable.
Given that the nets at both ends are actually exclusively used by the football and sporting club. Similarly to the same process we went down with the bowling club with their trolleys. They're exclusively used by them. They can't expect council to always be dipping in. So
We're effectively paying 75%.
I actually think that's
reasonable.
more than fair when you look at the costs in that manner.
Correct. So the way that, so just important to note the way the recommendation motion beg your pardon, is put forward there, that if they come back and say no to the contribution, then the thing will fall over for now, unless we alter that, so just bear that in mind. And Councillor Williams, I gave you any further questions?
I know it's a bit difficult now, but it would be nice to have that figure in the report so that the sports club can see the way we voted on that, knowing that was our expectation is it's $8,000 every 5 to 7 years. So when it does come through replacement and it's $20,000, and then they can, at least they know that we actually put our hand up for the $8,000 for the 2 next 4,000 each net. I don't know, we can't actually get that in the report now, can we?
No. No. So that'll be part of the communication to, and if you want, you can put it in the resolution that as part of the communication going to the club so they're aware, but that will obviously be going to the club. So what I'm going to do, because we have, sorry, Councillor Trolley, you had a question?
I was just going to say that.
Oh, that's right. Well, first of all, Councillor Williams, did you want to speak to the motion as mover? Because I had you down as moving it. Did you wish to speak to it?
I think I sort of just did anyway. I don't know about through formal procedures, but I think, I just think it's only fair that they do contribute. And I also take Councillor Nanki's point that that it would be good for them to know what their ongoing costs could possibly be.
Just to keep it fun, I think I think we're just going to keep it going. So, Councillor Williams has spoken to it. Seconder, it's Councillor Allenson. Do you wish to speak to it? Okay, any further speakers? Councillor Nanki?
I'll make an amendment to the recommendation.
You can seek a variation. Yeah.
Variation. Just pray that council endorses the the construction of the net or council endorses the construction of the, whatever they're called, sporting nets and poles, on the understanding the nets were valued in present value at $4,000 per net. Something like that.
That doesn't catch up.
That's where we're at the moment.
Probably $4.20.
Sorry.
That's very hell. That will.
No, that's right.
We'll get five there. Get three or four.
Are you happy?
Yeah.
And then if I just continue like that, and
It's up to you, that could be just a separate point, but anyway.
The end of point 3 is missing. Is it a bracket or it's missing at the end? Oh, sorry, it's underneath. Yeah, sorry.
just looks a bit funny.
Yeah.
Sorry, did you want to move this as a variation or an amendment? It'll change the nature of the debate, that's all. So,
That's the easiest way.
variation.
Variations to it.
I was going to say that.
Yes.
I'll check with them, but I just wanted to
Yeah,
check
you
what
can
the so let's just take a moment. So we'll check with the mover and the seconder. I'll just give people a moment to read it in full again. Council endorses the application. Check with that mover.
The only thing that I would say, I might be splitting hairs a little bit, in point 2, present value of the nets are 4,200 per net. Well, they won't be because they're quite significant difference in size. One's 21 metres, one's 30. It may be better to put that the total of the two nets are, whatever the figure was, the scales, which I think you said out.
8,400 would be for 2 sets of 30 though.
Sorry?
8,400 would be for 2 sets of 30.
But we're only after 30 out of 21.
Yeah, so if you do some quick maths, it's probably about 7,000 for the 2, so call it 3,500.
Plus DFT, that's right.
I can see what you're saying. If there's one big, one small, that's probably value.
I would say a total of approximately 8,000.
Yeah.
Total of approximately 8,000. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then it's. Bless you, sir. You know, you can make it a bit later if you like. Alright, so just recheck that. And that comes as both nets at both.
Just tying into point 3, is this $5,000 towards the cost of the nets? Is this towards the initial setup of this? Because there's the initial setup and then there's the ongoing. Because we're talking about netting and then we've got the net just above. Is that confusing? We've got $8,000 for nets and then $5,000 for the cost of netting.
I actually
Next resolution is talking about the nets only, not the total, probably implies that the total cost, and that excludes the poles, it actually costs more.
It's all up to 21.
Through the chair, the figure in this same quote for the installation, bear in mind this includes posts, footings and netting, everything is 9,650.
In fact, you probably want to try and tie in on the understanding present value of the nets only are approximately 8,000. That's probably more aligned with item 4 on that. That's what you're really trying to tie it into, that the club's up for 25% of the 8,000, aren't you?
Yes, but I'm more thinking that when we come to replacing the decks, that they come in a lot higher. That I'd like to think that I might end up knowing that it's only $8,000 and there's more. That's what I might end up. So it's about the detail that's in the report is what I'm after, and because it's not in the report, I'm just trying to get it up there somehow.
Well, could we just say, because I'm just worried that it's starting to get confusing for the reader, could we simply put that in our communications to the club, it will be made clear, or it'll be made clear what the costs of the netting are, so they can attribute that 25% of that figure? I'm just conscious that it is starting to get...
I think point 2 already does that by default, taking on board what Councillor Minke said. In the second part of point 3 or line 4, you just get rid of the netting, because then by default it's talking about the whole project, talking cost. Yeah.
Good day. So, are you happy with that? The variations that's written, Councillor Minke?
Happy with that.
Yeah, and mover and second are happy? Seek confirmation for that? Yes, okay. Any further debate or discussion? Alright, I'll put it to the vote. All those in favour? Against? Declare that carried. Alright, we'll move on to information report 16.1, monthly financial report. Any questions?
The good news is the dogs are dead.
Oh, and to that I say, did someone say KFC? Okay, so no questions, we'll seek a mover. Move Councillor Trotter, seconded Councillor Zeppel. All those in favour? Declare that carried. It's never dull. 16.2, the monthly works report. Just noting the summary of the major projects in there. Just take note of that at the back end of that report, so thank you for all that being included. It's really good for the public. Okay, any questions on the report? Okay, so you can move Councillor.
No.
Oh, the Councillor, yes, question, go for it, far away, Councillor.
Somewhere to be.
No.
Sorry, so all involved, I have a bit not. Just when I was reading through, there was a comment there, I can't remember exactly what it was, but it's basically said council has a 2-year contract with Urban Environs, and council are working closely with them to devise improvements to the frequency and efficiency of the program. Just want to know what that actually means.
Through the chair, we have a continuing contract, as it says, with the Urban Environs. They look after all our food weed spraying, and so what that actually means is we've had an exceedingly high volume of weeds this year, and so we're working with them in future iterations to see how we can manage that better.
Yeah, sorry, I'm just thinking like a lot of this down here. So is that something I suppose what I'm getting at, is already in contract with them and they'll be responding to the terms of the contract? Are we asking them to do something that's beyond contract, or are we actually just doing what they should be doing within their contract?
It might be a slight variation, but no more than they were doing. So the contract is set at a set amount. We're working with them within that scope to work out how we can manage the weeds better. That may not necessarily involve more. It may involve changing the way they do things or working in some areas more than some others. So they do the river torrent and they do the whole of council, so they may actually choose to
do less somewhere that doesn't need as much and put in more effort somewhere else.
Okay. Yeah. All right. Yeah, no, I respect that answer. Yeah, it is obviously we've, I think, a number of members
they're
now
so
getting. No, we are actually personally. Obviously, like a lot of employees are noticing the amount of weeds that are coming up in the state of about 3 scopes. So I'm becoming more focused on that now. So, I just really want to touch and hone in on that point. So, as long as it's not going to sort of breach any contract or it's going to cost us more, it's about, that also almost suggests that urban environments are not showing any care. Maybe they should.
No, I don't think so.
Space, tender, we want to have this.
We only just went out to tender for them, and they were the best contractor by far when we did tender. I think it's about getting it right, if that makes sense. So working with them to get them to work well with us.
Okay. Thank you.
That's it. Thank you. Any further questions on the monthly works report? There being none, I'll call for a mover. Move Councillor Trotter, seconded Councillor Core. All those in favour? Declare that carried. Thank you. Moving on to confidential items. We'll start with moving into confidence for item 17.1. Just noting the people, if there's anyone else. No, I think we've got everybody captured. So moving on to confidence. Move Councillor Trotter, seconded Councillor Zeppel. All those in favour? Declare that carried. Just taking note of the time of confidence, it's 8:46 p.m. Thank you.